He's in his second year as the voice of the Tigers after joining the LSU Sports Network in 2015, following serving in the same capacity at Georgia Southern for 10 years. His resume has covered all aspects of broadcasting, management, marketing positions, working inside a station with his father, so he's been doing this a long time. He's also worked for the Clemson Tiger Sports Network at Atlanta University. LSU will host Troy this Saturday night at Tiger Stadium. Please give a warm Ready to Roll Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Chris?
Thanks for having me again. I want to thank Ken for the invite. Last time I was here, last year, moving forward to today, we have a new football coach and a new basketball coach. So, I'm just thankful there is not a new radio voice that's coming here this year. But it kind of shows you where I am on the totem pole of importance. But real quickly before I get started, I wanted to brag on this guy a little bit. First off, Todd was one of the first guys that I heard from when I got to Louisiana. And this past Saturday, I left my driveway and then just started the fourth quarter. So I listened all the way to Tiger Stadium, took my parking spot. I had an intern who was supposed to pick me up with some equipment. He kept texting saying, "Boss wants to know when you're ready." Well, there was like 4 minutes to go. They were down and they were driving. So luckily the intern did not get terminated. He is still with the staff. But I enjoyed every second and every play of what Todd and his crew was doing. And I'm a big radio fan. I'd rather listen to a game on the radio than watch it on TV because I'm a fan of the art. And for Tulane fans, they've got a good one in Todd because it was an exciting broadcast to the very end. He was very professional, and as I told him after the game, I was high-fiving myself when they scored that touchdown. Todd did a fabulous job, and I had an opportunity to work with Willie Fritz for 2 years at Georgia Southern, and I'm a big Willie Fritz fan. And winning that game is not a big surprise. I was just happy for him and happy for Tulane. This full disclosure, however, Jeff Monken I also worked with at Georgia Southern before he took the job at Army. But I didn't feel bad about rooting for Willie because I was pulling for Monken when he beat Navy for the first time last year in quite a long time. So I got Monken's out of the way and I celebrated for Willie on Saturday. LSU is 3-1. I can tell you, leaving the stadium Saturday night after the victory 35-26, I'm not so sure it felt like a victory. I thought it was. Coach O thought it was. Legendary coach Eric Russell at Georgia Southern used to tell the media that 35 is more than 26 and he'll take it every time. And I kind of felt like that's where LSU was. They needed that victory, although it wasn't the prettiest of wins by any stretch of the imagination. A couple of things stand out. Number one, they only had 3 penalties after having 30 through 3 ball games to start the season. And as we saw on the road in Starkville, the penalties they suffered, the 9 penalties they committed, couldn't have come at worse times in the ballgame. They kept drives alive for Mississippi State. It kept the cowbells ringing for eternity, and it also took away some points on the board for LSU that may have not changed the outcome of that game, but had that first touchdown scored, some of the air would have got sucked out of the stadium and may have changed the complexion a little bit. The win over Syracuse, a little surprising in the sense that they really had trouble running the football, especially in the first half. The stat that jumped off to me, they had 46 yards of rushing against the Syracuse defense at halftime. They added, I think, 140 in the second half, but it wasn't easy. The passing game had some big plays, 87 yards, 43 yards, big play possibility, but there were also times that both Miles Brennan, the freshman, and Danny Etling, the senior, literally had no time to look downfield or even check down receivers because they had 3- and 4-man rush all over them. That's a concern. Coach O talked about it after the game. It's something they talked about all week. He addressed it with the media yesterday as well. One of the things that many of you may have heard yesterday was a comment that Coach O and Coach Canada discussed simplifying things on this offense. He did not go into detail. I'm going to try my best tomorrow night during his weekly radio show to see if I can dig a little more out of him, but don't hold me to that. I don't think it's going to happen. But I think, just my opinion, it's going to have a lot to do with the offensive line. I think it'll have a lot to do with the pass pro, I think it'll have to do with simplifying what they're asking those guys to do. And I also think it'll have to do with the receiving corps. I think you have a combination of pass rush being a problem. You have a combination of some complicated routes that take time to develop, and therefore your passing game is suffering. So I think you'll see some simpler routes to get those guys free down the sidelines, and I think you'll see the offensive line try to base it a little bit more and let Danny Etling do what he can do, because when he's got time to throw, he's very effective. We saw that over here at the Dome against BYU. We saw it against, albeit a lesser team, in Chattanooga. But they ate him up in Starkville, and Syracuse did a pretty good job of it Saturday. Lastly, the other news out of yesterday was, is there a quarterback controversy at LSU? Again, I don't have any inside information, but I can tell you, I don't believe there's a quarterback controversy. My conversations with Coach O and Matt Canada throughout the fall camp was that they wanted an opportunity for Miles Brennan to get some meaningful snaps. A couple of reasons. He is the future starting next year, and in the event there's a problem with Danny Etling, for whatever reason, you got to have him ready to go. So it wasn't a huge surprise that when he came in Saturday, at least in my eyes. And I think we probably can expect to see a similar formula against Troy this week. Final thing I got, the Troy Trojans out of the Sun Belt, also 3-1. Neil Brown's in his third season, offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. Last stop was at the University of Kentucky. He's kind of from the Mike Leach coaching tree, likes to sling the ball around the yard. But when he was at Kentucky, he learned very quickly in the SEC you have to establish a run game. That's the difference in how he's turned Troy's program around. They've got good enough running backs, big running back. They call this one Mega Chun, I think is his nickname. That they can run the ball to set up the pass and be more successful. So it's a last tune-up before they start the SEC gauntlet. It's a big game, and it's homecoming at Tiger Stadium. So hopefully we'll see some of you there. If not, hopefully you'll tune in on the radio. Thanks again to Ken, everybody here at the Quarterback Club. It's great to be back. Hope to see you again, and go Tigers.
Thank you very much, Chris. Of course, we all know it never rains on Tiger Stadium, so we're getting it out of the way today. Our final speaker is a graduate of Brother Martin High School and grew up in Gretna, started at HTV in Houma, graduated from LSU, started at Fox 8 as a producer and reporter, graduated to become